The year is 1941. America is on the cusp of a global war, but on the fringes, a quieter, more terrifying battle is being fought. The war against the mind. And in a sprawling, underfunded hospital in the heart of Virginia, two lives were about to intersect in a way that would forever stain the history of modern psychiatry. A bright, troubled girl named Elsie, and a visionary doctor, Walter Freeman, whose ambition knew no bounds. Elsie's world had fractured years before. As a child, she had been a force of nature, but by her teens, something had curdled. Her rages were legendary, her periods of withdrawal absolute. Doctors called it schizophrenia, a term that explained everything and nothing. Her mother, a woman who had battled the crushing weight of Jim Crow and poverty for every breath she took, had done everything. But poverty means choices are stripped away, not offered. And when the state hospital, the only option left, suggested an experimental procedure, a revolutionary new surgery to sever the neural threads of madness, the mother agreed. She signed the form for her daughter Elsie, who was then just 15. Dr. Walter Freeman, a figure of almost messianic self-belief, had perfected his controversial operation, the lobotomy. It was a brutal, quick, and simple procedure, performed with tools that seemed more fit for a hardware store than a surgical suite. Freeman believed he held the key to unlocking the human mind, to retuning the broken circuits of the brain. He was hailed as a genius by some. To others, he was a butcher in a lab coat, cutting pieces from the soul. The most astonishing truth is this: Elsie's mother was told the surgery was a cure. The most brutal truth is that Freeman was not interested in curing Elsie. He was interested in the procedure itself. Her young black brain was merely another case study in his growing, increasingly macabre catalog. She was not the last. In the years to come, thousands of Americans, many of them women, many of them black, poor, or simply difficult to manage, would pass under his quick, careless hand. This is the true, untold story of Elsie, of the girl she was, the promise she held, and the horrifying legacy of a medical experiment performed on the most vulnerable among us. It is the story of how an innovative surgical procedure, meant to be a triumph of American ingenuity, became a chilling testament to the unchecked power of doctors, the silence of institutions, and the enduring tragedy of a ghost left behind in the machine. Prepare to unearth the records the hospitals tried to lose, and the names the history books failed to mention. That's an excellent direction to take this narrative. Developing Dr. Freeman's compelling, yet ultimately chilling background, and showing the rapid, often alarming spread of his technique will provide the necessary context for Elsie's tragedy and highlight the systemic failures involved. Here is the next section, designed to bridge the early surgical trauma with the wider, shocking adoption of the procedure in the American medical landscape. The architect of erasure, Walter Freeman's vision, brain. Dr. Walter Freeman was not a man comfortable with the margins. By the late 1930s, he was a distinguished neurologist in Washington, D.C., a man who believed that science had stalled. While the world watched Europe tear itself apart, Freeman saw America's deepest wounds residing within its own hospitals and asylums. He viewed the teeming, overcrowded wards, filled with thousands of patients deemed hopeless, not as places needing careful long-term care, but logistical nightmares requiring radical, swift intervention. His obsession led him to Portugal, where he witnessed the work of Dr. Egas Moniz, the originator of the prefrontal leucotomy. Moniz's technique was messy, invasive brain surgery. Freeman returned to the U.S. not with caution, but with a revolutionary, terrifying simplification. He would bypass the need for the operating room entirely. He called it the transorbital lobotomy, or more informally, the ice pick lobotomy. Freeman developed a specialized instrument, a thin, sharp surgical pick he called an orbital clasp. This tool was inserted through the thin bone separating the eye socket from the brain, directly above the eyeball. A few swift taps with a mallet would drive the pick into the frontal lobe. By moving the instrument back and forth like a lever, Freeman could sever the connections between the prefrontal cortex and the rest of the brain, all without a single incision on the scalp. The entire procedure for an adult patient could take less than 5 minutes. Freeman saw this speed and simplicity not as a sign of barbarism, but as a democratizing force in psychiatry. He believed he was turning a complex, decade-long hospitalization into a quick outpatient procedure. He envisioned a world where violent outbursts ceased, where catatonic patients might smile again, where the burden on the state could be lifted,